What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Tackle Tuesday here on Joe Bob's Bass. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm excited about this one. This past weekend, I got out and did some fishing for a while, actually. A couple, long, good hours spent on the water. Not a whole lot of fish and nothing crazy to write home about, but did fish swim baits the entire time, right? I threw a chatterbait for about the first hour, caught a bass, said, screw this, we're focusing the next 2.5 days on swim baits. So that's what I did, and I threw a bunch of from the DRT Tiny Clash, Throwbacks Wake Walker, Throwbacks Cheat Code. I threw some of these bigger soft plastics that I've got. Ooh, excuse me. And kind of mainly stuck to the Tiny Clash and the Wake Walker just because I was working one night and evening. It was all overcast, really calm, so I was figuring that the Wake Walker might do it there. Did have a couple follows on the TK actually when I thought that the Wake Walker was going to be a little better. Had some followers on the Wake Walker already. So it was a whole, seeing a lot of fish, fishing a super clear lake, saw a ton of fish, saw a lot of follows, just did not get a whole lot of bites, especially on the swim baits, other than a couple of rock bass. So today though, we were talking about the one good bite that I did get, and that came on the Livingston Lures Viper 6. If you guys are not familiar with this bait, I highly suggest to go pick one up. Whether you're just getting into swim bait fishing, or maybe you're a seasoned veteran that's spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a bunch of custom-made glides, I think this one, no matter what, is going to fit in your arsenal great. Okay, this is a $32 bait, depending on where you get it. Retail price is $32, $33. Okay, this is a 6-inch glide. 2.4 ounces, right? So yeah, you're probably not going to be able to throw it on just your 7-foot medium heavy. You can probably do it and get by, but it's gonna really bend that rod quite a bit, right? So I was throwing this on my Dobbin 795, handled it like a champ. They do make an 8-inch version of this that I have not fished yet. And so 2 inches bigger, it's got a lot more girth to it than this one does. And that one's like 6.8 ounces, so it really steps it up as far as the weight goes. So definitely are gonna want something extra heavy, maybe even extra heavy when you're throwing that. But this guy is super cool, and I love it for a lot of reasons. You can chop it, right? You can give it those quarter or half reel turns and get this thing just chopping in the water, pretty solid. You can just straight slow retrieve it, and it's got a pretty nice wide glide. It's not this super wide, going almost side to side action that you can see in like the Throwbacks Retro Glide, but this guy, it still has a pretty natural and flowing path to it, and that's exactly what I was doing when I got the bite that I did this weekend on it. So the other really cool things about this lure, it's got a removable tail. I mean, a lot of swim baits have those, right? If it falls off or it cracks or it bends or something, you can get some replacements. And then apart from that, it actually comes apart pretty easily, and I'm not going to do it right now. We'll get up close and do that in a second, but it's got variable weight system in here, right? So you can, I've always kept it fully loaded up, but you can take out some of those so it's a slower sink rate. I don't know exactly what the sink rate is. I would say probably about a foot a second, if I had to guess. I typically throw it out, give it about 5 or 6 seconds, and then start that slow retrieve, right? But you take some of those weights out, and it's gonna suspend higher up in the water column, right? Or it's gonna just sink a lot slower, right? So you take some of those weights out, and you might be able to fish this thing right under the surface, almost like a low float or even almost like a wake bait, right? Something very close to the surface. Other than that, guys, they actually do have a good amount of colors. You can see here, this is the, what was this? Holographic Shiner, I believe. Okay, and it's kind of blue, and it's got this little bit of a red gill, a little bit of a red kind of pink tip there, that silver line going down the middle, and then just kind of a natural colored tail, right? The other thing I love about these lures is you've got this feathered hook on there, which gives it just a little bit bigger of a presence and kind of mimics maybe a smaller bait fish swimming with the fish, or just it gives off a different kind of feel rather than just a glide bait, right? Other than that, it comes with a split ring on the top, so you don't really have to worry a whole lot about perfecting that gliding action. You could take that off if you want and then tie straight on if maybe that's going to give you a little more control. If you're trying to get it a little choppier, that might be better for you, right? So, but let's take this thing apart real quick. I've actually only ever done it once, and I'll show you guys how to do that and see what those weights inside look like and take a closer look. All right, folks, so a couple things here. First off, before I forget, couple things before I forget, Livingston Lures are notorious for this I believe it's like EB system or EBS sound or something. They've got, you can see these two little dots here, okay? What that is it's actually mimics a bait fish noise, right? So this one I believe is a perch bait fish noise, and here hopefully you can hear it. But it's kind of cool. I don't know how gimmicky that is. I don't know how well that works. They say that from their research and everything that you can essentially reach up to 30 times the distance, attract fish 30 times further away due to that noise, and it's mimicking not just bait fish but feeding bait fish, right? So again, they've got all kinds of, there's different noises that come with different baits. Some of them you can select, some of them you cannot. But so that's really the gist there of that noise. And that's obviously, I'm just putting my finger on it, but when it goes in the water, that's what activates that sound, because then that circuit is full. So I'm just gonna grab a couple little pliers here, and then what you do is you just take this pin and you're gonna pull it out just like that. And then that bait just comes apart, and just like that, you can see one of those weights already fell out, right? I'm gonna grab that before I lost it. And so there's a few of them in here. Three of these kind of little lead balls. You know, if you wanted it even heavier, maybe you could find some tungsten ones and throw those in there. You know, you could really mess around with this, but you take those out, and that's gonna be a very light bait. I mean, this thing's probably an ounce at that point, right? Maybe an ounce and a half, where it was 2.6 with all three of these in there. So like I said, I like to fish it heavy. I like to fish it with all of those in there. But if you're fishing and let's just say, hey, I wanna fish a little higher up now, super easy to just pull that pin out, and then here, again, pop it right back in, maybe. Ooh, gotta get that ball out of the way. Boom, and just like that, you're ready to go and fish again. So really, really cool idea, I think, of being able to control that weight a little bit and change the variance of the bait. So there it is, guys. That is the Viper 6 from Livingston Lures. Super great little bait. I've caught some of my biggest fish on this here glide bait, not just this color, but also the natural perch color. I think they just do a really good job for 30, 35 bucks. Super great glide bait. You know, if you're comparing it to something like this here, which is like the Cabela's brand Bass Pro Shops glide bait, well, you don't have that variability, right? I don't love the swim on this one at all. I think these colors and the paint schemes on these are very generic and not very great, right? They just feel really cheap. This, for you know, 15 bucks more, 12 bucks more than that lure, this thing is just quality, way more quality compared to that. So even at 35 bucks, 32 bucks, whatever they are, super great way to get into the glide bait realm if you haven't yet. If you're not looking to spend maybe 60 bucks on a Chad shad, or 50 bucks on this thing is gonna help save you a little bit of money and get you into the game a little bit quicker. And I'll tell you what, it sure as hell catches fish. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. I've got the Mega Bass Pop Max video coming out tomorrow, hopefully, maybe Thursday, hopefully tomorrow. And other than that, we've got another little video coming from this past weekend. So thank you guys. We will see you next week.